guys, my name is Rob. I'm Bigdog Bro 1 on the Bigdog Biker Forum, and I wanted to make a video just to help you guys out getting ready for the spring for changing tires. I have always been kind of obligated to take my tires, rims to a dealer or a machine motorcycle shop and have them change the tires, but as shops have kind of passed away and things have changed over the years, there's very limited areas for these guys that want to take the liability on replacing a chrome rim without scratching it. So I thought I would kind of take the opportunity to maybe convert my own from a Harbor Freight tire changer, which I did. I was lucky enough to find a guy here, local Ann Arbor area in Michigan, to basically buy some prefabricated cleats, nylon cleats that kind of get adapted to the later model Harbor Freight tire changer. So I went ahead and bought those, and then I designed and 3D printed some additional protective parts that fit on top, and basically kind of tweaked the Harbor Freight thing over some videos I saw earlier, and kind of made my own changes. And today I decided, after buying my tire, to take the opportunity, since the sun is shining today and it's starting to warm up here in Michigan, to go ahead and do a tire change. So I pulled it off. I got a walkout basement, so I've got a lift in the basement and a compressor up in the garage, which with my scissor jack here basically just roll the tire out and it's ready to go. So I've already basically got everything ready to go on the tire changer, and I'll run you through from the beginning. Now, this is not going to be a professional video because I'm kind of struggling on my own to get this all done, and this is the first tire I've changed with it since I put it together. But at least it'll give you an insight as to what I had to go through to kind of get it to work for me, and the way I have it mounted to one of my basement support poles, and a couple pieces of material that I had to buy and fabricate to get it to work the way I wanted it for myself, so that if I want to later, I can kind of take it apart off the pole and move it out of the way, because I don't change tires every day. But I also put this together for the guys in our group, which we have about 4 or 5 different big dogs and fat tire bikes, and some Victories and Harleys, and you know, it was kind of also to help those guys out. So anyways, we'll go ahead and show you the video, and I'll come back and do some closing statements. Okay, I gotta lift this in here. This is a protective rug to cover up the bottom of that. This can go in here, kind of get it centered up this way, and squirt some of that in there. Okay, this goes in here, it's protected, and use their bar that they have available. Okay. All right, and this side. And it's broken. Flip it over and protect the drive rotor. And this might be a little bit more difficult because this is got to be lifted up a little bit. All right, I got a block on the back side to help raise it up a little bit. That's got to go in there just to help it ooze in a little bit as I break it down. Put my knee on this backside. Put this on here. Stand on the rim. Okay. A little awkward, but it's broken down. Let's go opposite the valve stem a little bit more. Slide it over here. Even it up. Okay. That's broken. So now that the tire bead is busted down and held in place, you take this tool and try and get it down in there. I'm gonna gather as much as I can get. And I think I know what I gotta do. I gotta be able to take this wrench end and be able to put it in here to hold this down while I creep in on it. Let's grab this and turn this. All right. Now, tight quarters with the camera. And out. Take off this guy. And take that off of there. Now the tire can come out. Okay. I didn't want to drop it and tilt it sideways a lot because it's got dynabeads in it. And that would make it quite a mess. It does need a strap on there around the spoke so that it stops at a certain point. Otherwise, because these clips aren't set up to grab extremely well. It grabs it around the rim well, but it doesn't keep it from spinning at all. So that's what I got. There. And then the strap, see the strap goes down there. I don't have an adjustable strap yet, so I had to make do with that one. Tire clamps, how they work. These things here I designed and 3D printed to cover up the piece of metal. So anyways, the tire is off. Now to grease up the new one and put it on the right direction. I wanted to show underneath on the Bigdogs how the rotor sticks out past the rim. That's about flat across. But this tire changer fortunately has enough vertical clearance for the belt rotor. And then you can see underneath here, those blue pieces are 3D printed and they pop into the inside area of what's left over on that vertical hollow tube to give the rim a little bit of an extra landing area to get the thing all situated and aligned so you can clamp it down. So that's how that worked out. And then the rotor on the 300 Bigdog. This is a 2007 Bulldog. You can see it's got plenty of clearance. I'm going to make a modification to this guy up here, which is the pipe laying down there. I'm going to round off the bottom so it can be tilted up and out of the way, and then swap around this plate to the other side, I guess, and get it a little bit more off center from the column. So I got a little bit more space to tilt it up and out of the way so I can get the tire off. So these are all just modifications I made to a standard Harbor Freight tire system, motorcycle tire changer on the top, and then the car tire changer on the bottom with the bead breaker. That's wrapped in the HDPE 16th inch sheet, and just a piece of carpeting on the bottom to protect the rim from the little cleat they got. Made a piece down here, screws, bolts into the bottom of that guy, and three modified 3-inch muffler, or 2.5 inch I think, or 2 3/4 muffler clamps. This is a 3-inch diameter basement pole support, and I had to open those up on a what do they call it, a reciprocating drum sander, just enough to make it slip around there a little bit more. And then that happens to be just a piece of I don't know, 1/8 inch diamond plate. That was a scrap drop, and this was a scrap drop, and then I just welded on the piece for the muffler clamp. And simple little mods. These white clamps right here, those are from a guy in Ann Arbor area called Mojo Clamps. He also makes a Mojo bar. that he sells. I kind of like the Newmar bar better. The Newmar bar has a couple other features. It's got the extra pull handle. I like the way that this helps put the tire back on because it grabs onto the rim underneath like this when you go to put the tire back on, which is a bit safer than rolling it across the top of the chrome lip again. And then they have this right here, which is nice for when you put it back on, because this goes on and helps hold the tire in place so that it doesn't keep sneaking around the rim when you're trying to put the bead back on, which is handy. It's called the little yellow clamp thingy. And then instead of using water with dishwashing liquid in it, if you buy the clamp, I think you can get a package deal. I think they throw this in with the bar. This is a Newmar tire snot, and it's just kind of like a jelly grease. It's kind of like a wheel bearing grease. It's kind of thick, and that goes not on the lip, not under here, but it goes around this area, mostly on the tire, down inside the tire, and that's what helps you get it on. You don't want it up in here, you want it down in here, so when you go to put it on, it actually slips on there. And you can see my Dyna beads in there. I'll probably just buy new ones. They're fairly inexpensive, and they go right into the valve stem tube. I've never used any wheel weights on this bike because I didn't want to screw up the chrome. These rims are irreplaceable pretty much because Bigdog's moved on. They still make rims, but I don't know if they make this one for the Bulldog. But anyways, here's the Bulldog. It's on a lift with a scissor jack. Basically, just get everything set up like you need it. This piece down here is custom made, welded onto a 20mm nut. That's for the drop pipe, and that could be a little bit longer in sections, but it happened to work just fine today. And I think what I'll do is mod the bottom side of this, curve it on a radius out from the center so that I can tilt this thing up when I want to get it out of the way. So that does it for now until I get the rest of it ready to go. I'm going to go have a beer. Hello everyone, my name's Rob, and today I'm going to put the tire back on my rim for the 300 Avon, and this is the first time I've put this tire back on this rim. So I'll just let you watch through the steps, and the first time I'm going through so that you can see what I have to go through with this modified Harbor Freight tire changer. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is use some of Newmar's tire grease for the bead, and instead of spray on water, use this stuff because it's zero water content, and it will get the tire on there without any water on the inside later. So what I'm going to do is basically just put this on down here in the drop area a little bit, and I'm using a paper towel because I don't want to get my hands full of grease, and get the thing in a position where it's all over my hands. Okay. I don't want to have a whole lot of grease on here because I am putting in a Dyna bead product similar to Dyna beads. I've used Dyna beads for a long time in the past, but I'm going to try something different, hopefully better. Get this down in the drop area so this guy will pop up, and then I got to do the tire. Okay, I think that's probably enough. I don't want to put it on really thick either. And then we got to do, now because I've only got one person, me, doing this. This guy rotates that direction, so this is the bottom. And put this on here. Mostly, I think, down inside, underneath here. This portion. I don't want to go underneath the lip a lot, I just want to go on top of the lip. And I'm going to go over in this portion here. Okay, I think that's probably good enough. Put this guy on. Cover back on there. There. Okay, now that I got the tire on, we can go through and get this guy popped in. I gotta bring this drop pole down, get this up, raise it up, tighten it down, get that on there. I will want to start over here, and I want to put this little guy on. That looks okay. Get that in. Get this pushed around as much as we can get it. Get that around there. I think we're good to go there. And the arrow points that direction, rotation, which is good. And I want to this guy's get it down underneath that bead ridge. Okay. Let me grab this. One. This 300's big stuff. Put one more in here. Okay, well, we're getting close. I don't know if the camera's going to be in the right spot, but well, I got it on. It was a bit of a struggle. I think my problem is I don't put enough tire lube on it. And getting the last part of the bead on was a bit of a struggle. I actually spent some time getting it on there, but once I got it on, it seems to be fine. The bead pops in the same amount from the ridge all the way around, and basically I'm going to let the air back out of it and put in some balancing beads. So essentially, that's the way it worked out. The tools that I got for putting the tire back on, the Nomar yellow thing, this part of it right here seems to work very well. It's nicely protected for chrome powder coat rims, and their bar that they have, I think, works perfectly fine. If this tire changer was another 12 inches lower to the ground, you'd be able to put your hip into this thing and be able to push it around and grab onto this thing and be able to use it like it was intended to. I might end up taking the part of the motorcycle section and lowering it down so that it's more easy to use, and perhaps use the tire bead breaker as a separate part. So what I plan to do now is put these balancing beads in. I'm going to let the air out, put the balancing beads in. They require 3 ounces for the 300, and I'll put those in through the valve stem, even though these are a little bit larger. These beads are made by Checkered Flag. I bought 20 ounces because I plan on using some for other tire installs. But these are Checkered Flag tire balancing beads. Now these are about 2 millimeter in diameter. I don't know if they're quite that, but that would be about 80 thousandths of an inch. But the Dynabeads are around 1 millimeter, and they go right through the valve core stem very easily. These still seem to go through this particular valve stem, but it'll be a bit of a wait to get them through because they're going to be feeding through single file. And I didn't want to put them in before I sealed the rim, because I wanted to make sure the rim sealed and didn't have any leaks before I went ahead and put these in. Because if I put these in before and put the bead on and then find out I got a leak, then I got to break it loose and possibly get tire beads all over the place and get some caught in between the bead, and it just turns out to be a major mess. So going in through the stem, if at all possible, is the way to do it. Although this manufacturer recommends putting them in beforehand, I just want to not go that route due to those problems. Okay, I'm putting Dynabeads in. Actually, not Dynabeads. I'm putting these other aftermarket beads in. Dynabeads would be done by now because they're only 1 millimeter in diameter, but they cost an extreme amount of money nowadays. They're getting kind of overpriced with their product. As far as I'm concerned, it's approaching, I know it's $3 an ounce, and it's approaching $4 an ounce. These checkered flag beads are 2 millimeters in diameter. Some of them are smaller than others, but the largest is about 2 millimeters. They still go through the valve core on the stem, but they don't go through like Dynabeads do, that they just trickle through because they're so small. These, if you try to use the old Dynabead bottle and pour them in, they don't work. So you got to shoot them down this piece of tubing right here. This is 1/4 inch OD. I think it's probably 3/16 ID maybe. So you got to kind of shake the bottle in there, and if you go like this, you can hear them rolling all the way down in there. I've got a piece of the old Dynabead clear tubing over the top of the valve core stem to make an adapter to this 1/4 inch tube, and then the 1/4 inch tube is plugged in to the top up here so that I can adapt it to the bottle. But I can hear them rolling down through the tube. Every once in a great while they'll get stuck someplace in here in the tube or do something, but since I got this and I got a piece of kind of a translucent tubing so I can see them if they get stuck in there, but I can also hear them falling down in through the stem into the tire. Now this tire's already been aired up and to, I don't know, normal operating pressure, 42 pounds, 40 pounds, and squirted around the rim with soapy water, and I didn't see any problems. This tire didn't have a tire pressure leakage problem, even new, so I'm pretty damn sure the core is okay, the stem. These beads come with some valve stem covers, and they also come with some filtered valve stem core valves. And what a filtered core is, but the ones with the springs on the ends, those are what they call filtered, so the crap can't fall back down into the valve portion up here. The other standard valve cores are essentially just the core without the additional spring. So they send you this package. They also send you some branded valve stem covers, but I don't use those. I've got some covers that look like bullets, of course. So this is working. It just isn't the most efficient, but you know, it's a weekend before riding season, and I'll just shake these in. I'm putting in 3 ounces of these beads in here in this 335 tire for this Bigdog, and that's what it calls on the paperwork, both with Dynabeads and this company is 3 ounces on a 335 18-inch rim. So this is going, and when I'm done, I'll just grab a beer and relax. Put the tire back on some other time. That's pretty easy. Anyway, I wanted to show you guys this. If you do happen to go through and grab these other larger beads, these are about $1.50 an ounce, I think. I bought 20 ounces, like I said, so that I can use them on other jobs. But now, unless I feel confident putting them in before I seal the tire and check for leaks, you know, I'm a little bit concerned about doing that, but this is the only other alternative to get them in. So Anyway, that's what I got to show you. Works fine, so you know, do whatever you want at your own risk. But you guys have a safe season, and keep your knees in the breeze, ride safe, and have fun.